Hi, I'm Michael Marin. At Holy Name Medical Center, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the important healthcare issues that affect their daily lives. That's why we're proud to support programming produced by the CAUCUS Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey. Healing begins here. Bergen Community College. New Jersey Council of County Colleges. Delta Dental of New Jersey. Everyone deserves a healthy smile. Partners for Health Foundation. Partnering to make our communities healthier, better places to live. The Fidelco Group. And by the Russell Berry Foundation. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com. And by New Jersey Family Magazine and NJFamily.com.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. It is our honor to welcome Mr. Ray Kelly, the former commissioner of police in the great city of New York and the author of Vigilance, My Life Serving America and Protecting Its Empire City. Commissioner, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
This book, powerful message, not just about vigilance, but about your life. When did you know that law enforcement would be your professional life?
What happened is I joined a new program called the Police Cadet Program when I was in college. I was going to Manhattan College. I had three older brothers, all in the Marine Corps, so I had no choice. I was going to go in the Marine Corps after college, but I needed a part-time job, and I was working in Macy's. My mother was working in Macy's, and she got me a part-time job in Macy's. I said, I wanted to do something else. So I saw an advertisement for a police cadet program, which is an effort to get matriculating college students into policing. So I was in the first class of the cadet program, and I guess I really became fascinated by it. I was in the police academy.
That's the academy.
That's after that's when I graduated from the police academy. It was after my active duty time in the Marine Corps. But it's been great for me. I've enjoyed every minute of it, some more than others, but I had great experiences.
Was it your dream to be at some point the commissioner?
No. I never thought of that. No, I wanted to be a sergeant.
That was I want to be a sergeant.
Well, I wanted to advance somewhat. I was going to law school at night and working as a police officer, and I wanted to be promoted to sergeant. And then, things sort of fell into place. As I say, I love the department. I love the work, the adrenaline flow, the opportunity to make a difference, even in a sort of a micro situation in precincts. You're able to affect people's lives. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it was not any part of a grand scheme or plan to become commissioner.
Commissioner, there's a part of the book that I'm fascinated by. It's really the second commissioner run, if you will. Describe the two situations.
Well, I was a commissioner for a little over a year and a half under Mayor Dankins. Lee Brown was the commissioner. He selected me to be the number 2 person. First deputy commissioner. Lee Brown's wife became very ill. She later passed away. Lee had to leave the city, went back to Houston, and Mayor Dankins appointed me police commissioner. It was a different time. There was a lot of crime in the city. I think we made inroads there. But when I became the commissioner the second time, asked by Mayor Bloomberg to do that, the mayor was elected 56 days after 9/11. So we had a very broad agenda. If you remember that time, awful lot of gloom and doom. People were predicting, the world was going to fall apart. So the Mayor Bloomberg, had an awful lot on his plate. We knew that we had to do something to sort of raise the comfort level of the people, and we wanted to do something substantively as well. So we did a lot of things. We made a lot of changes early on. We created a counterterrorism bureau. We brought in a lot of experts from federal government, other places. We created an analytical corps that was second to none, in my opinion. We stationed our police officers overseas to act as tripwires and listening posts to help better protect New York. So we did a lot of things, and mayor was in office for 12 years, and those 12 years went very fast. It's just kind of amazing what happened. And Mayor Bloomberg deserves an awful lot of credit. You think of what was in front of him when he took office and how the city was when he left.
You know, as I read the book in that section, you're talking about getting your people together. And you're actually really describing, Commissioner, literally an organizational chart that you're putting together, and you're literally describing boxes and charts and graphs. And how hands-on were you in being the architect of what needed to be done?
Well, I was very hands-on. Some people complain about that and talk about micromanagers.
Did you feel it was necessary at that time?
Yeah, well, this is a vision I had in my head, and I had to translate it to paper, to nuts and bolts, so it could be carried out. So, yeah, I mean, that I think was important for me to do. I had experience. I was in the federal government. I had been an undersecretary in President Clinton's administration. I had been the U.S. Customs Commissioner. You know, I'm a lawyer, and those sorts of things all sort of came together, I think, at the time to help me sort of translate this vision into something that was workable.
Commissioner, beyond all the charts and the graphs and the boxes, from an emotional, you always struck me from a distance. And by the way, Greg Kelly, your son, was in here literally an hour ago from Fox 5 talking about his growing up in your household. He actually said that you were going to have a hard act to follow, that he was here. You think that's true, by the way?
I agree.
Yeah, you're a proud dad. But I got to ask you this. You've always struck me as such a straight shooter. I don't know if it's the Marine background, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to ask you from a personal point of view, from a human point of view, the responsibility over those years post 9/11 that you felt protecting this city. What was that like for you on a personal human level?
Well, I think you get used to the pressure fairly early on, and it kind of becomes is part of the territory.
Really?
For me, I'm basically a 7-day worker. I didn't take a vacation.
Where'd that come from?
In 12 years. I think it was a sense of urgency, that, think about the way things were a year, 2 years, 3 years after 9/11. We were very concerned about another event happening. The Iraq War was ongoing. Was there going to be retaliation here? Those sorts of things. And of course, as time went on, everybody got a little bit more relaxed. I don't think we did. I don't think the police department did. But you do sort of get used to the pressures and the demands of the job.
Are we vigilant enough, Commissioner, as citizens?
Well, there are no guarantees. You do what you can do. I think New York City has done more than any other city in the world to protect itself from a terrorist attack. But we have maybe 10 million people a day in New York City on a business day. We're an open city. We have lots of events going on. We have 3 major airports in the area. So lots of people coming and going. You cannot guarantee anything in this anti-terrorism or counterterrorism regimen that we've put in place here, that the federal government has put in place here. But as I say, New York is doing more than any place else.
Commissioner, talk about policing itself and how policing has changed. I'm curious about something, and we're not going to date ourselves. We're taping this in May of 2016. We never try to hide when we tape things, and we try for things to be evergreen, but things happen in the news all the time. Commissioner, you've thought a lot about and you wrote a lot about relationships between the police and the community. Why is there so much tension, in your view, between some in the police department and some in the minority community, and what the heck could make it better?
Well, in the mega sense, I actually think relationships between the police and minority communities are better. Certainly much better than when I became a police officer. In a way, there's always going to be some tension. Because
is it natural?
What we ask police officers to do, they are the bearers of bad news. They are authorized by the law to use physical force, sometimes deadly force. They give you traffic summonses. So it's a demanding job, a difficult job, and there's always going to be areas of tension. You have to work at the relationships with the community every day. There are certain things that you try to do, but again, there's always the possibility of some event happening. Police officers have to make difficult decisions. Certainly, sometimes they make mistakes. They're human beings. So you have to be ready to respond to that. Now, we've seen a rash of really terrible incidents captured by cell phone cameras. And we saw you can only call it a murder, of Walter Scott in North Charleston, South Carolina, where he was shot in the back when he was running away. We've seen other, bad events as far as the police are concerned. From my experience, having been in the business well over 40 years, I think the police in this country have done a remarkable job, certainly over the last 2 decades. Crime is down dramatically, but those types of events can really set back the relationships between the police and the community significantly. So commanders, commissioners, chiefs are always trying to improve the relationship with the community. I think the advent of cameras, police officer, I think
good
so.
thing.
I didn't always think it was, but that shooting of Walter Scott in North Carolina, I said to myself, no rational human being would take that action if he were wearing a camera.
So body cameras for police, a good thing.
Yeah. Now, virtually everybody over 10 years of age has a camera these days. So much of what the police do is going to be recorded anyway. And so much of what you see in these videos is 2/3 of an event or half an event. So the police have cameras. You have potentially capturing the whole event. And I think it will sort of restore some of the trust that has been taken away as a result of these events.
Commissioner, I want to ask you this question about leadership, because so much of this book is about leadership. I ask leaders of all stripes the most significant lesson they've learned about leadership. What's the number one leadership lesson you've learned?
Integrity. There are 14 Marine traits that I've learned in the Marine Corps, leadership traits, and I have them in my head. But the number one is integrity, personal integrity. You have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And a lot of people say, do as I say, not as I do approach to life. That's not what real leaders are expected to do or should be doing. So, you have to be honest in all ways, honest with yourself, honest with the people who work for you.
K2 Intelligence, what is it?
It is a cutting-edge company started by Jules Kroll and Jeremy Kroll. Jules is an icon in the business investigation and intelligence business. Great cyber capacity here and in Israel. We do construction monitoring, anti-money laundering work, physical security assessments, and I like it. I'm having fun, and good people there.
Last question. Of all the things you've done in your public life, your extraordinary career, what are you most proud of?
Gee, that's a tough question. I have been fortunate enough to have a long public career. I guess perhaps setting up the... we started under the rubric of 3 C's in the Bloomberg administration, crime suppression, counterterrorism, and community relations. And I think after our 12 years, we accomplished an awful lot in all 3 of those areas. The last year of the Bloomberg administration, the police department had a 70% approval rating. I had a 75% approval rating. Not easy to do after 11 and a half years. So, you know, I'm proud of those things and proud of the work the men and women of the department did for me.
Commissioner, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
on
Steve.
Public
Good to be with
Broadcasting.
you.
Stay right there.
Appreciate it.
The book is called Vigilance, My Life Serving America and Protecting Its Empire City. The author is a very special New Yorker and a special American, Ray Kelly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are thrilled to have a gentleman that everybody recognizes. He is Daymond John, entrepreneur, consultant, author. He is one of the stars of ABC's Shark Tank. His firm is called Shark Branding. His book is called The Power of Broke. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It is our honor. Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Did you see it right away? Hey, this is a hit?
Well, I saw that there was a Dragon's Den, and they sent me a couple of versions of it in other parts of the other parts of the world. And I said, well, you know, they have a different taste level over there, and here it's never going to work, ever.
You didn't say that.
I said, no, it's never going to work.
By the way, set it up. It's you and a few other business people.
Yeah, so for those who are unaware of the show, it's myself and 4 other people on a panel. And you know, people come up to us and they basically are looking for funding. They don't usually have ideas. They usually have a product and or something that's been in the market, and they're saying, hey, I want to give you 20% of this for $100,000. The panelists is our own money. We are our own investors, and we then say if we like it or not. If we like it, we give them an offer. Doesn't mean that you have to take the offer, because it may not be something you want. We are not working together. Investor over here may want to give you more.
Right.
So now I have to negotiate with you, the person who is, has the product, and I have to negotiate against somebody else. And,
It's
that's
huge.
what it is.
You
Real
didn't
business.
say it. What strikes me, because you see all kinds of things
Yeah.
other people don't see.
We do.
Which drives me to this question. And by the way, check out this book, because people who say, hey, listen, I'm broke, things haven't worked out, I'm desperate. Daymond John says, that's where
you need to be.
Talk about that.
You need to be there mentally, whether you have money or not. Because we all grew up on this whole concept that you need money to make money, right? You have to know somebody and things of that nature. But
Didn't you know a lot of people growing up in Queens? Didn't that all set you up for life?
I knew a lot of people growing up in Queens.
I'm joking,
but
right?
it
Like
didn't help
you were
me
set
out,
up
right?
as a kid, right?
Exactly. And then I didn't have a famous last name. I joke about it. Well, maybe it is famous, but if I call Elton John and tell him I'm his son, you probably wouldn't believe that. But
You weren't all hooked up as a kid.
No. Not at all. Not at all. Listen, I grew up in a lower middle class area in Queens. I'm dyslexic. I got left back on time. I never went to college. My mother raised me by herself, and if I can make it, anybody can. But this whole theory that you need money to make money is not true, because over 60% of the wealthiest people in the world all are self-made men and women. That means they were broke at one time. And generational wealth really doesn't pass down after 1 or 2 more generations. So you look at the people out there that are succeeding in life, and they operate with this mentality of broke. They don't just throw money at things and think that's going to solve it or that's going to create something. They have a certain way that they operate and a method of operation that they go through step by step by step to get to the area of where you can hopefully succeed, whether personally in things or whether financially.
I'm curious about this. You're a master of branding. You're a hardcore entrepreneur. You see it in people. You have it yourself. Keys to dealing with rejection. People just fold.
Yeah.
They get rejected, they just fold.
Sure.
What do you say to them right now? 'Cause some people are folding right now.
Well, I say, well, first of all, your rejection muscle has to be huge, right? To be anybody that is successful in anything. You could be a parent, and you can be somebody who you know that as soon as this baby is born, every book's going to tell you what to do, and the baby's going to go to Harvard and be a doctor. The reality smacks you in the face probably about the first month of having the child, but your rejection muscle of trying things with this child or anything else keeps building, because everything that you get rejected on or doesn't work is one less thing that you have to try to get to the point of being successful and figuring it out. I have failed way more than I have succeeded, but those failures gave me the ability to learn the lesson. Now, if I had money, I would pay somebody else, and when they fail, they're going to tell me one reason or another why they failed, but it's going to be just to keep their job. But when you're broke, you don't have the ability to go out there and put out 7 things. You got to concentrate on this one thing.
Right.
And you have to focus. And the people around you are not going to just tell you what you want, because they're not getting paid. They're around you because something's working for them. They're part of a movement. It's infectious. So these are the things that you have to tap into no matter what aspect of business you're in.
So the whole Shark Tank thing, when you're rejecting someone, is there a part of you that says, oh, wow, geez, I'm rejecting this person, I feel bad? Or is there another, well, I'm not going to say if there's another party, because you just made it clear what happens when you get rejected.
Yeah, I don't feel bad rejecting people, because you have to think about it like this. I'm not there to judge you on if the business is good or not. I'm there to judge you if the business works for me, right? I may think this is a great idea, but I may say I don't add any value besides cash, and I want to be part of something I'm excited about. I may reject you because I may say you didn't take those steps, and right now you had your grandmother open up her 401k, you had your wife, stop working, and your kids' college fund at risk, and you're not listening to us because you're not taking the small steps that need to prove the concept, and you're killing everybody's hopes and dreams and financial investment in you because you're an egotistical maniac. I don't want to be part of that. So I have absolutely no problem rejecting people on Shark Tank at all.
How often do people just come up to you all the time, everywhere, and just ask for free advice about a business idea or whatever it is? And how do you deal with it?
Well, if I'm on the street, it could happen 100 times a day. If you're looking online and social media, it's probably in the thousands.
Do you say, hey, I'm not working?
No. See, the beauty of being on Shark Tank is that at the end of the day, people just want to empower themselves, and they want to make money to have the resources to maybe have great, medical attention and/or send their kids through school. So I never look at somebody's dream and somebody's aspiration as something that I can't or I shouldn't acknowledge. So if I can acknowledge them and I can give them the direction, I will stop and answer every single person.
So the way you started, high top hats?
They were like ski hats, but they were like with a string on the top and just you hang them over the head. Hats. Yeah, tie top hats.
Describe it, because
it's like it looks like a sleeve, right? And you just put a shoestring on the top of the hat. It was it's not really popular.
You made your own.
I made my own. It was I saw them in some videos. Rappers were wearing them. I couldn't find one. I wanted to find one. I finally drove from Queens up here to Manhattan, uptown Manhattan. I go home to my mother. I show her the hat. I tell her that I said, Ma, look at the hat. It costs $20. I spent $6 in gas and $900 in tolls. Look at this hat. And she tells me, Daymond, you can make a whole bunch of these.
That's like back, what, 92?
It was 89.
Oh, 89?
Yeah. And she said, you can make a bunch of these, Daymond. You don't have to spend that kind of money. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, go get $40 worth of fabric. I'm going to show you how to make those hats. But the only fabric I could find for $40, right, with a bunch of stripes on it. But when I started to sew the hats out of the fabric, I realized now I have 80 hats that look exactly the same, because it's the same pattern of fabric. It looked almost like a candy cane, right? So what do? I only need one of them. So now I have 79 to sell. I go out and stand out on the corner in 89, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and remember it was a Good Friday, and I sold $800 worth of hats in 1 hour. And that's when it went off in my head.
Do you think you were born to be an entrepreneur?
As a common-ass question of entrepreneurs are born or made, I think that it's our surrounding around us that either make us entrepreneurs or not. I think that every single one of us we're born thinking like entrepreneurs, and that we have this ability to go out and say that we're going to change the world, or we're going to do this and that. And it's the people around us through our course of history that sometimes say it can't be done, it won't be done, you're going to embarrass yourself, you're going to embarrass us. And they take us off that track. And it's up to us to find those people that put us back on, because you'll see many people that work for a corporation all their lives. And they decided to open up a business 55 because they realized that they were doing what their parents wanted them to do. One of the top categories of people that start new businesses are, I think, is 55 to 70. Because they finally do what they want to do. And a true entrepreneur is doing something they absolutely love.
The power broke.
Power broke.
You talk to all kinds of people.
Yes.
Like?
In the book, so I have 15 people. Well-known people around the world. And because I didn't want people to think that I have this magic wand. So Kevin Plank, CEO of Under Armour, doing $4 or $5 billion a year. They said that he can never take on the big boys and girls. Well, what is he doing now? He's taking on everybody. He has some of the top players in the world, and he still activates the power broke even till today because he has those players because there's something in how he did his research and his love and passion for these people that did these deals way before anybody else knew who they were. He's still hungry. And when he was operating and starting his company, he drove over a bridge and he didn't have enough money to pay a toll. That's how broke he was, and that's how hungry it made him. I have somebody in there, Steve Aoki, one of the world's most known DJs. Does this thing jumping and everything else. Well, it worked against him. His father is the one who created Benihana. Wealthy, wealthy child, right? But when he came out to New York and lived in California and he came to the downtown music scene, they said, get out of here, little rich boy. We don't want you around here. Daddy's money doesn't work over here. And then when he went home to Dad and said, I'm going to be a musician, his father said, what do you mean? I came over here in Japan with $2 in my pocket. I have a business here. Spinning records is nothing at all. You're not going to get a dime from me. So he had to come back over here and he had to basically use the power broke, create a following, and do everything else to be now one of the world's most touring DJs.
Greatest leadership lesson you've learned in your professional life is?
To be decisive.
Be decisive.
Be decisive.
Because?
Well, because first of all, you have to make a decision. You can't be in the middle of anything, and you have to live by your decisions no matter what. And if people see that you are hesitant, no matter what, they're not going to believe in you because they're going to always question you.
You just helped a lot of people, as you often do. Daymond John, The Power of Broke. Shark Tank, he's an entrepreneur, he's a branding expert, and you're just good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, Bergen Community College, New Jersey Council of County Colleges, Delta Dental of New Jersey, Partners for Health Foundation, the Fidelco Group, and by the Russell Berry Foundation. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
My name is Dr. John Brundback. I'm actually the medical director of the Interventional Institute here at Holy Name Medical Center. Peripheral arterial disease actually is extremely common. It's one of the forms of hardening of the artery. As interventional radiologists, we perform minimally invasive image-guided procedures. Generally, the procedures we do are alternatives to what would otherwise be major surgery. Almost 80% of those patients can avoid amputation if they're referred for us for these sort of procedures.
Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, 1-877 Holy Name. Healing begins here.